by the space that surrounds him. Take it all in. Breathe, forever be. Forever.
Hey, welcome to Unsung. I'm your host, Blake Quimby. We're glad you're with us today. Before we get started, make sure to check out these platforms. We'd love for you to subscribe and follow us. And also, we are on all platforms. So wherever you listen, we should be on there. Look for Unsung. And we want you to come along for the journey, come along for the ride as we talk with people in a supporting role in their area, lifting a limelight. It's going to be a fun time. So do that today before your head hits the pillow. Do that. Well, today we have our guest is a wife. She is an author, a speaker, a dance educator, and the host of a really awesome podcast called Creative Impact Podcast. It's an honor to have her on. Please welcome Miss Rachel Caldwell. Rachel, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much. I love the sound effects. So fun.
Yes. We try to have a little fun here, you know.
Yeah.
This is exciting. Did you grow up here in this area? We're in the Houston area. Did you grow up here?
I did. Yes. So I was born in the Houston area and kind of the A-Leaf area if you're from here, and then ended up moving out to Sugar Land when I was in 4th grade. So grew up in Sugar Land and went to Austin High School out in Fort Bend, and then went off to college out of state, but came back to the Houston area and have been pretty much here ever since, except for a short little stint when my husband and I were in Austin for a couple years. So, yeah.
Very cool. You're representing A-Leaf. This is exciting.
Yes.
You're the first, apart from my wife, you're the first A-Leaf representative on the podcast. So congratulations. That's a big achievement. Now it can really only go up from here, right?
Exactly.
So a local girl grew up here. Your family, I guess your family's still around, right? This area?
Yes. Yeah. So my parents still live in Sugar Land, and my husband Ben's family lives kind of North Houston and a couple in College Station. So kind of all around this Houston area, which is a lot of fun being close to them and getting to hang out a lot. So.
Well, it's really interesting. I told you this right before we came on. Is like I just made the connection this week that I know your mom, and I had no idea that she was your mom.
Yeah, that's so
no
crazy.
idea.
So how did you get to know my mom?
Well, so I work at a seminary, and she's a part of that as far on our board there. And so I just randomly was talking with a good friend of ours, and he was like, "Yeah, she's part of our board." It's like, "Oh, that's awesome. I'm interviewing your daughter. I'm talking with her. It's great." So,
Cool.
it's the little things in life that can connect us. You know, a buddy of mine, Scott Stripling. You know, Dr. Stripling.
Oh yes,
right?
He's awesome. I
Such
love
a great
Dr.
guy.
Scott.
Yeah, he definitely is not flying under the radar. He's up there, right? He's doing some really cool stuff.
Yes.
But I remember him in a class saying that and when Jesus and the disciples, the people of those age, were growing up, the world was very small, right? And our world seems like it's really big, but then like things like this, or oh wow, I know you through this person or this person. Life is just like it can be small, even though we live in a much bigger world than they did at the time, right? So that's just really, he told me that one time, and it always stuck with me. He's like, the world's a lot smaller than what we think it is, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. You are, which I have so many questions. First off the bat, my interpretive dance is really on point. I don't know if you've ever heard. It's pretty good. I'm getting there. I might need some direction. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, so let's talk about a few things. You have a lot. I will tell you this. I started reading your book, and I'm about halfway through, and I'm telling you, it's been awesome. And we'll talk about that. I want to talk about your book, but I want to talk about this dancing life. Talk to us about what it means to be like a dancer, like a professional dancer, because it sounds so much fun.
Yeah, it it really is so much fun. It's super kind of surreal to get to be in that world and for that to have been such a big part of my life for so long. So let's see,
Mm,
starting way back, I started ballet when I was about 10 years old, which for the dancers that may be listening is a little bit old, like kind of feels
right.
old for dance.
Sure.
So a lot of people are like, yeah, I started when I was 3. So the benefit of that, I think, was that I knew that I loved it at that point because I was old enough and I basically chose to be there.
Mm,
And so after 1 year at kind of like a community center ballet class and little tap class, my mom and my grandparents watched the little end of year, performance, and they were like, I feel like you should put her in an actual ballet studio or a ballet school. And so ended up switching over to more of a serious, ballet training at that point, and was part of a pre-professional ballet company in high school, a little bit of middle school. Had so
mm.
much fun, doing like the classics, the Nutcracker, Swan Lake,
Okay. Yeah. So you
Hell
did. Now,
Yeah.
what part? What did you play in the Nutcracker? What was your role?
Yeah. So I was in it for a number of years, and I started out as like a maid and a soldier back then. So it was like,
Nice.
early roles. And then kind of over the years, got to do a lot of the different roles, like a snowflake, which was one of my favorites. I was in Waltz of the Flowers. I got to be the Arabian sort of princess person 1 year, which was fun. And kind of, I think the height that I reached was I didn't actually get to do it for the main production of it, but for one of our school performances, I was the Snow Queen. So that was really fun getting to dance that role and
Yeah.
wear a, official tutu and all of that good stuff. So that was kind of my like training years. And then alongside of ballet, I was also part of my high school dance team at Austin High School and was just loved that. Ended up being an officer my junior and senior year, which is kind of like the leadership team for the dance team.
Mm,
And then went to college for dance. So I ended up
mm,
majoring in dance and doing a minor in business. And that was really, really cool. Just a great experience getting to train with all sorts of incredible teachers and basically get exposed to a lot of different styles of dance. And that was how I got connected up with Deum Dance Company, which is here
mm-hmm.
in Houston. And I
Right.
was part of their second company for 2 years and got to be the rehearsal director the second year and just loved it. It was so fun getting to perform around the city. We did a lot of like outreach performances as well. So whether that was at hospitals or
Mm,
schools,
yeah.
different programs and different things like that. So that was super fun. And then I kind of have mostly been in the teaching world since then,
Mm-hmm.
teaching dance, but do a little bit of dancing here and there at church and getting to kind of pull out, the proverbial dancing shoes, I guess, or performing
Right.
shoes. So,
Well, okay, when I think of dance, right, I'm thinking of dance. I mean, you sound like that sounds like. I mean, you've done so much fun stuff, but like I think of dance, I think there could be a lot of drama, right? Drama mamas, would
mm-hmm.
you say? Yeah, is that a yes?
Yes, yes. That's
Drama
very
mama,
true.
right?
Uh-huh. And it
Life is
definitely,
crazy.
especially in that, I think the dance team world, you get a
Mm,
lot of that, and even the competitive dance world, so people that grow up in kind of this competitive studio environment, and I would say professional dancers on the whole keep it like they're called pretty
they keep it
professional.
locked down. Yeah.
Yeah, but once in a while there can still be some, it's hard because it is pretty competitive,
Mm,
everyone's kind of wanting to go for the same roles or whatever, especially probably in a more traditional company. But I loved in Adeum, it was a little bit more like we're a family, we're a community, and
yeah.
we had that sort of bigger purpose of getting to really, minister to people and show them love. And so it didn't feel like that competitive environment that is probably more frequent in other areas of dance. So,
Sure. Yeah. So when I think, so drama is what I think about it. Like, oh, but then I think, oh man, injuries. Like
ooh,
you could
yeah,
really hurt yourself, right? If you're not doing, even if
yes.
you're doing something right, you could break a toe or mess up an ankle or
Mhm.
pull something. I mean, injuries are pretty. I mean, it's a contact sport, right?
Exactly.
I
It
mean,
is. Yeah.
it's not for the faint of heart here.
No, especially, when you get into partnering and you're doing these crazy lifts and things like that. So
Oh
can
man.
certainly cause some injuries. I am super grateful that I have not experienced a serious injury in dance. Thankful for that.
Yes.
Little things here and there, like a little slightly rolled ankle, but not anything super serious.
Mm.
Blisters and things like that. But
Yeah.
I overall was pretty uninjured, which was great.
No,
So
that's great. I mean, blisters in itself. I mean, if you're listening today, blisters are just not fun at all, right?
mm-hmm.
Blisters hurt, right? I'm just coming out of I'm maybe 7 month, 8 month. I had a ligament
Mm-hmm.
surgery on my ankle. And
Oh
and
man,
so
okay.
I couldn't never. I mean, I couldn't imagine like spraining your ankle going and dancing. I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. You have to sacrifice a lot to do a lot, and so I know there's a lot of injuries. So I just wanted to talk to you. You're pro. I'm going to talk about these injuries, but feet
Yeah.
are a big deal. I covet my feet. I will tell you that. I wear orthotics.
Yes.
You have to wear orthotics. I do. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the things that pop around in my mind, right? Injuries and
Yes. I'm glad that you're in the recovery phase.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to do this again. Don't ever get ankle surgery. Just let it heal
Okay.
itself.
Good to know.
And if you're listening today, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get ankle surgery. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So dancing now. Are you actively in a? I know you're a coach. You're doing that. But are you also doing any more performances or anything else at the moment?
So pretty much it is basically the real answer is no.
Yeah.
I would say I once in a while am dancing at our church at SLFC, Sugarland Family Church.
Which is really cool. I think I've seen you do that a couple times, which is always really awesome.
Cool. That's awesome. I didn't realize you were there some of those times. Very cool. So,
Well, I'm there in spirit.
yeah,
I'm always there in spirit. Okay.
yes. So I love, getting to collaborate, whether it's a Christmas service or sometimes
Yes.
it's been, Memorial Day, or trying to think what else we've done. Just some
Yeah.
fun
Y'all did some really cool
pop-up
productions.
things.
I mean, you can look it online and watch them. I mean, they're just always really, really
Mhm.
cool. Do you aspire to do any more traveling and dancing, or like be a part of any kind of performances down the road, or you just kind of enjoying where you're at right now?
Yeah, for the most part, I am enjoying where I'm at, I suppose. So I'm
Yeah.
not closed off to doing more dancing, but I think I'm not in really the training like regimen that I once
That's
was.
true. That's
So I'm
true.
hoping to get back into maybe like a once a week ballet class or something like that, at least to just kind of keep it up. But honestly, the
Yeah.
past year and a half, I haven't really been in class consistently. Just kind of sporadically once in a while
I
whenever
got it.
there's a fun event in town or something like that. So
Well,
it'll be good.
Michael Jordan said it best. He had to come when he came out. Are you familiar with Michael Jordan's transition? We talk about that a little bit, but like he went from basketball to baseball, and he said, "Man, my body was basketball built. Right, I had to get
Yeah.
baseball ready, and then he had to flip it and go from baseball body to basketball body. And so,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's something too that maybe people don't realize. I mean, because you're all right. I thought it's an athletic kind of thing that you're doing, right? That you've done for many years.
Right.
And so you got to
For
get your
sure.
body right. You got to get your muscles right. And so you just can't.
Mhm.
I'm sure you can probably do some moves, but like to really get ready, you got to prepare yourself, which
Exactly.
is very, very important. So well, that's really
Especially to
cool.
avoid the injuries, like you were saying.
Exactly.
So
We don't want ankles. We don't want knees. Keep just blisters only, please.
exactly.
Hey,
I
that
can take
rhymed.
things
There we
sore,
go.
Yeah.
That rhymed. Hey, I wanted to share this. You're married to a cool dude. From what I've heard great things about this young man, Ben. This
Yes.
is Ben and
Aw,
Rachel. Beautiful
there he is.
couple. Smiles all around.
Oh,
Now,
thank you.
how quickly? Like, just a little brief. How did you guys meet? Who made the first move?
So this is a funny story actually, because he also has been a professional dancer,
Cool.
and he was in a dance company in Oklahoma at the time, and there was someone else in the company that moved down to Houston and had joined the company that I was dancing with. And so she and I had become really good friends, and she was hanging out at our house one day, and he decided, which it's knowing him now, it's kind of funny because he's pretty introverted, but
Oh.
he was like hanging out with the dance company. Hey guys, y'all want to call Jocelyn and check in on her and see how it's going, And so they all call her up, and he happened to be the one kind of on the phone officially, and the whole company's there saying hello. And she's like, oh, I'm here with my friend Rachel. He's like, oh, put her on the phone. And so we kind of randomly met over the phone. And, the dance world is very small, kind of like you were talking about how the world can be very small. And so he said, so Rachel, are we friends? Kind of like, do I know you? And I said, no, I don't think so. I was like, but we could be future friends, which is super cheesy.
No.
But it worked out in the end. And a few months later, we ended up both at the same dance festival. And he had no idea who I was, really. I mean, he had heard me on the phone, but he didn't really know what I looked like or anything.
Yeah.
But I had seen videos and pictures of him through this friend. And so I went up and introduced myself and said, hi, I'm Rachel. I'm your future friend. And he first was like, wait, what? He had kind of forgotten about that conversation.
Hey,
He's like,
that's the best pickup line ever, hands down, right there.
Thank
hey,
you.
I'm your future friend.
Thank you. Exactly. So from there, we just kind of never stopped talking, and
nice.
Yeah, ended up getting married.
How long have you guys been married now?
Short version.
How long
So
have you guys been?
we are about 8.5 years.
Nice.
We've been married about 8.5 years. So 9 years in July.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. That's a big testament, big accomplishment in today's world.
Thank you.
Which is really cool. And I look forward to meeting him one day.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard great things about him. So maybe he can teach me some dance moves to go along with my interpretive dance moves.
Yes, that would be so fun. I feel like you guys would hit it off. So that would be
we'll
really
grab
cool.
some flags and we'll just get real crazy. So dancing, you're doing that. You're coaching now, right? Too. Are you coaching like age groups, or what are you doing? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the past 5 years, I was the head dance director at Dulles High School, also in Fort Bend. So that was kind of a full circle coming back home, kind of. And that was super fun to get to do. Also very time consuming, but I learned so much and I loved working with the students there. So I was essentially teaching dance classes all day, and then I would direct the dance team, the varsity dance team, and then we also had a JV as well. And that was probably like, a really big chunk of what I consider my career so far, I guess. And then I stepped away from that at the end of last year and am working on a new business that kind of goes along with the book and everything. But to be able to go in and work with teams all over the state, maybe even nation, but around the state of Texas, and get to work with them on building a positive culture for their team and kind of help that character development side of things. So I found that was one of my favorite parts of what I was doing. And so I'm like, well, let's try. Let's see if we can make this a thing. So it's building slowly but surely. So
well, good. I mean, and good things do, right? Good things, good things sometimes take some time for us to build, and I think that's a testament to patience and a lot of different things, and willingness just to stick it through. I mean, I was reading through a little bit of your book, and I'm thinking, man, she should be talking to people about this stuff. Like she should be in front of people, like chatting with people about this, because, and if we can look at that too. I want to show this real quick. Healthy relationships equal healthy team, 10 keys to building positive dance culture. And you would read that title and think, I don't dance, but here's the kicker. It's for everybody. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, thank you. That's so true. I mean, it's all skills and concepts that apply to every single human. It's like conflict resolution and empathy, communication skills, all of those kind of things that are really key for every single relationship, not just on a dance team. But I put that in there kind of to, a lot of the examples are a little more dance related, to help be specific to that community, but really the book does apply to anyone. So
right. And in there, I mean, you have a lot of stories in there, and they're really great stories how they connect all. But I want to start with why did you write this book? What was your mission behind it?
Yes, that's a great question. So essentially, I just really love seeing students become healthier people and grow in character, grow in those life skills. And whenever I was directing, that was really the thing that got me fired up and passionate. And so whether that was in conversations in my office, or obviously through the dance practices. They're gaining life skills, but I would set aside some time, usually ideally once a week, but probably more realistically like once a month or so. We would set aside some time, and I called it team time. And
Mm,
that was where we would talk about, trust, or talk about interview skills and things like that. So it was very life applicable, and it ended up being one of my favorite times because they could
mm,
kind of open up and they could grow and learn and have good conversations and that kind of stuff. And I also saw how hard it is, especially in high school, but for everyone, but especially in high school, to, to develop healthy relationship
mm.
skills and
That's
learn how
good.
to actually communicate in a healthy way. So I think all of those things kind of came together, and I thought, this would be really a cool message to put out there
Mm.
and to be able to spread to more people. Because if it's, just me going to like one school at a time, that's great. But if there's a book, then it can really reach anyone and everyone, whoever wants to find it on Amazon. Or, it was kind of one
Yeah.
of those things where I was looking for a resource like that and I couldn't find it. So I decided to create it.
Oh, I just love that. I love when what you said. You said it was a resource I was looking for and I couldn't find it, so I just did
Yeah.
it. There might be people today listening and be like, "Man, I have an idea, like something, whatever. It might could be a book, it could be
Mm-hmm.
anything. It could be, a new sport. I don't know, anything."
Yes.
And the thing is, just go for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Exactly.
just go write the book, right? I think that's
Mm-hmm.
if so encouraging. And when you mentioned that, just going through high school, junior high, college, I mean, just let's just break it down. High school's not fun for anyone. Even if it is fun, man, come on, right? Especially
There's just a lot
as
going on.
yeah, exactly, a lot going on.
Yeah.
Um, and I think my thought is now we always try to teach our daughter's growing up and she's getting older, right? She's like almost a preteen,
Mm.
which is blowing my mind, by the way,
I'm
Rachel.
sure. Yeah. Time is
I'm not,
crazy how fast it
yeah,
flies. So.
it's crazy. Like, she's already 11.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, you know, just talking to her about healthy relationships. Like, Dad, why can't
Mm-hmm.
I do this? Or what do you, why, if I said this, what, I mean, there's so many things, right, that are
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy enough in this life. And so we need healthy things. And I want to talk on a few points because, um, okay, so in chapter one, maybe was this it? I hope this is. I dog eared it because I no one dogs ear stuff anymore, right? No
I
one dogs.
know. We're
They never
losing
dog
the
ear
art of dog
things.
earing.
Yeah, we have to dog ear, and I know it's here somewhere because I was reading through it. Okay, I think this is okay. This is it right here. Um, the other ones, yeah, I have 3 dog ears, so that's pretty awesome.
Ooh,
Um,
nice.
yeah. So you were talking about integrity, which there's integrity, especially in this first chapter. And you said integrity is choosing courage over comfort. Right then, I just go courage over comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy, and choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. You could have ended the book right there for me. I was like, man, is this person? She's reading my all my mail right now. This is amazing. Um, let's talk about integrity. Can you
Yes.
share a little bit on that because those 3 or 4 sentences, man, where did you come up with that? That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. I think in that moment I was quoting Brene Brown,
Oh,
who,
cool.
have you heard of
Yeah.
Brene Brown?
No, I
Yeah.
don't. And you're right. I should have read that before that. My bad. But yeah, it was Brene Brown. But anyways,
That's
she's
okay.
amazing too.
Yes, she is. And she just, when I heard that for the first time, it also kind of blew my mind. And I was like, wow, that is so good and so true. And I think she's done a lot of work around vulnerability. And
Mm,
then she talks about integrity as kind of a part of, how can we be vulnerable in relationships. And part of that is having integrity. And so I loved her definition and had to include it because it was just so
oh
powerful.
man. Yeah.
And yeah, kind of choosing the right course of action, even when it's not maybe like the path of least resistance, and when it
Sure.
can be challenging or we may not get the quote approval of our peers or, other people, but knowing, hey, this is what lines up with my values. And
Mm,
I think when we have kind of that alignment between our values and our actions and our words, that kind of thing, then there's this sort of wholeness. And I talk about it being like a solid foundation. So it helps us to feel, just solid and not like
yes.
disjointed in who we are and in our life or our lives. Um, yeah, I think
I mean,
that's
right
kind of the
after
main thing.
that, yeah, right after that, you said when you want people to like or approve you, it's easy to lose your sense of self.
Hmm. Yep.
Another
And I
bomb.
feel myself doing that a lot, and
Well, I think we all do
I
that.
think, yes, exactly. Because it's like, well, we want people to like us. We want to be approved of.
Yes.
But I think it can be easy to, like I was saying there, get lost in that and kind of start, down the road. And then a few months, a year, whatever later, and we kind of look back and we're thinking, this isn't really who I am. How did I get here?
Yes.
And, or this isn't who God is calling me to be. And
Mm-hmm.
so just taking a step back and reevaluating, okay, what do I actually believe? What are my values deep down? And how can I work on kind of lining myself up with that, which is hard and we're not perfect, but just kind
Yep.
of one day at a time and a lot of
Exactly.
grace
So
in the process.
difficult. Yeah, you're dead on. And then another nugget that when I did read this is in the very first chapter. I have one more in this chapter 8 I want to bring up. But
Oh yeah.
when I read this, I thought, okay, she's got it on this one. Trust is sort of like an invisible glue. I love when things are like when you give an analogy like this. Trust
Yes.
trust is sort of like an invisible glue holding relationships and ultimately and
You're good. You're good.
okay, bringing your team together. I love it. Invisible glue. Let's talk about it. Trust, because trust is huge right now, right? Or
It
should be.
really is.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. So yeah, it's kind of like, if we have trust with that other person, then I think it just helps you to feel safe in that relationship and
Mm,
to be able to feel like you can actually be yourself and you can be kind of like Brene Brown says, vulnerable and have that level of connection that's really
mm,
kind of impossible if you don't have trust there. So I think if there's a lack of trust, then we can be either defensive or kind of hold back, or we
yeah.
put on that performance like we were talking about trying to please others. And yeah, so I think trust creates this atmosphere, I guess, where we can thrive. And whether that's, one on one or if that's on a whole team level, or a big organization or something like that, if there is that trust there, then it just makes everything so much easier and more healthy as well. Yeah.
Sure, and I'm sure in a business world it's a little different. But like when you're talking with students and talking with other people, it's like if you really knew who I was, like
Yeah.
when I take my mascara off, when I take my glasses off, like if you really knew who I was, would you still trust me? Would you still like me?
Mm.
Um, how, Rachel, in your experience in your life, when you get to those moments with a friend, say a friend or whatever, like those really big life moments of like maybe you're
Mm.
crying together, maybe you're just talking through stuff, whatever it is, and you really see the real person pop in, right? Like it's
Mm.
really, wow, right? And sometimes that happens at our darkest hour. Sometimes that happens
Mm.
in our happiest time, whatever it is. But at some point, when you're trudging through life with somebody, you get to really know that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say that gives another layer of trust right away that you can be
For
that person. I
sure.
mean, have you ever had that happen in your life?
Yes, I have. And I can, if it's okay, give a shout out to a
Yeah.
mutual friend, Brianna
Yeah.
Cash.
Uh-oh.
Um, so I know her husband Michael was on episode 1, which is so
Yes.
fun. People can
Yes.
check it out.
I love it.
But they're amazing. And I feel like Brianna is a friend that I've kind of, we got to know each other, started getting to know each other in like 2017 and have kind of grown in our friendship since then. And I feel like I saw that progression happen in our friendship of,
Mm.
kind of got to a point where And I think she may have even been the one to go first in a sense,
Sure.
where
Yep.
she had a really hard thing that happened, and she was willing to call me and in tears, you know what I mean? And we had that moment. Hopefully this is okay. Sorry, Brianna. If this is like
She's
too
totally
much.
fine. She's totally
Yeah,
fine with it.
hopefully she's cool. But that gave me such a sense of comfort and safety in that relationship and that friendship. And again, deepened that trust. So I'm like, okay, she feels safe to be real with me. Now I feel even safer to be real with her, And that really, that power of being the one to go first in so many different senses of it, but especially in being real and, trusting that other person with the hard emotions of life, or like you said, the highs, the lows. It's super powerful. I feel like that's something I've been wanting to grow in as well. And I think it can be hard in this day and age when we're like connected, but we're not really truly finding connection. We have digital connection, but not necessarily living that hard stuff of life together. So I think that's something that's so important and valuable and helps us to feel seen and known, and like we don't have to have it all together, that we're working through life as a team kind of, or as as friends, as family. So yeah, I
And
think that's
you
been
even
huge.
said, you even said in your book, even with conflict, doing it right can breed even a deeper relationship, a deeper friendship, a deeper love, right?
Yes, I love
I
that.
totally agree with that. Sometimes I was telling a friend not too long ago, I was like, you know what? I feel like when I have maybe it's a disagreement or a conflict or something, I feel like out of that conflict, I become better friends with that person, whoever it is, or vice versa, whatever, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like we made
Why?
it through.
Right.
It's kind of this sense of like there's almost like a fear coming into it of, are we going to make it through this? Especially for those of us that maybe, I grew up, my parents were divorced when I was technically 5, I guess separated when I was 4, divorced when I was 5. And I think my little kid brain, you're trying to process what's happening and everything. So I think my little kid brain was processing conflict equals separation, um, and if we show negative emotion or we fight, then that's going to lead to abandonment. And, as an adult, I'm like just figuring this out, like, oh, that's why I like to be happy all the time. I'm like, whatever. But realizing when you can be safe in a relationship to have conflict and then know you're going to work through it and that person isn't going anywhere. We're sticking together, we're sticking through this, and we're going to work it out, and trying to figure out healthy ways of doing that, working on our maybe our tone or a word choice or whatever, and figuring out, okay, how do we do this in a way that's
tough,
constructive kind of, and will get us to the other side. And then once you're on the other side of it, then I think, like you said, you feel so much closer in a way, because you're like, wow, we made it through. I feel like we could do that again, and it's going to be okay. And it's, again, kind of that level of being real and being open and being vulnerable. So you feel like, okay, they do trust me, even though this is a hard thing. They trust me enough to talk about it. And sometimes I think there's a book by Jenny Allen called Find Your People. And she talks about that as well, where if someone is willing to bring something to you directly, there's a level of trust there versus them talking about it with somebody else, and I think that creates a closer relationship as well. So
I do
yeah,
too.
so good.
Yeah. So okay. So my other little nugget, I got another dog ear. So my dog ear here. Let's see.
So
Okay.
fun.
Yeah. This is in chapter 8. So if you're reading along tonight, it's in page 64 and 65. I thought this was really neat. It's let's see. It says, you're speaking of your own life, and it says, in my own life, of course, I felt my emotional and mental health waning in the absence of community. And you said, when the value of other members of your team, you create the atmosphere of support and trust that is crucial to success. Here it is. This atmosphere is built through respect for one another. I really love that. I thought that was a really interesting take on just the whole team aspect, because yes,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of one-on-ones, there's a lot of this, but leading a team, talk about trust, but also let's talk about respect. I mean, that's huge
Yeah. Yeah.
because on a team, there's someone better than you, probably, most likely, or you're equal. But
Mm-hmm.
we're all have strengths and weaknesses, and so sometimes it's like, man, no, I'm better than that person. I'm a better bass player, or
Uh-huh.
I'm a better dancer, I'm a better singer, but you're a team, so you know there's respect. Let's talk about respect. How's that played in
Mm-hmm.
your life and in a team role and a coaching role?
Yes. I think it's so huge, just in my own life, and also, like you said, in a team environment, in any sort of group or organization, really in the world right now,
Sure.
finding an ability to respect other people. I talk about, like, regardless of how they've treated you, or
Yep.
what they believe, or
Sure.
how they operate, just by the pure nature of the fact that they are made in the image of God, and that because of that, like, God places value in them or on them. And so, sort of just out of our own, I think there's a quote about it, like showing more about your character than the other
Right.
person and how you
Right.
treat people.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because it's so true. It's, if you say, hey, I value you just because you are a human, you exist. And just because of that, there's sort of this basic level of respect, I feel like,
Sure.
that should be shown. And it also kind of reflects back on you, how you treat people. So that's kind of one side of it. And then you're talking about kind of how that interact, or how that helps shape a team environment and kind of that atmosphere. I think when people feel valued, they feel like you respect them for what they do bring and what they do offer, then there's less of the defensive posture. There's less of that competitive,
Yeah.
negative competitive nature,
Mm-hmm.
and I think regardless of people's ability level, where they're at, even if they're like not as far along as you musically or in dance, like you were saying, uh,
Interpretive dance. That's
either
right.
way, they are bringing their personality, they're bringing their gifts to the table. And we really need every single person to be bringing kind of like their best every day in order to thrive as a team. So I think if they don't feel valued or respected by their teammates, they're going to shrink back. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to start to be like, why should I care, and kind of close off, rather than continuing to bring what they do have. And then I think that allows that person to grow. Or I could say it
Mm.
from my own life, that would
Yeah.
allow me to grow. If I feel like what I have to offer is valued and respected, then I feel more excited about, you know, giving more and trying
Well,
harder
yeah.
and that kind of
Just
thing.
being a part of a team. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is such an interesting book. I look forward to completing it and letting you know. But if you're listening today and you're
Thank
like, hey,
you.
I want to get this book, creativeimpactpodcast.com, I'm sure has a link or something. You can get it there. You can
Mm-hmm.
also go to RachelLeeCaldwell. .com.
Yes.
Book is that where you can really get the book there? Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
RachelLeeCaldwell.com is perfect. The book is there. CreativeImpactPodcast.com. I think there's a link to the other website there, so you
Yep.
can find it. But
Sure.
yeah, Creative Impact Podcast is a lot of fun, doing conversations with other artists and just having great conversations like this. It's a lot of fun. So would love to
Yeah.
have y'all check it out.
Yeah. Please do. Please go check it out. She's everywhere you listen to podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be awesome if you guys subscribe, follow her. She's doing some pretty cool stuff, and I know you want to be
Thank
a part of
you.
it. This unsung, kind of the whole idea behind it is just to encourage those that are lifting the limelight just around their area.
Mm-hmm.
And I just you are right. You're doing that. And sometimes people
Thank you.
might not know that they're doing that. They're just doing it. We had a guest on, and they were like, "Listen, you just go for it, right? You keep your head rolling, you keep on going, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I want to just quickly share a few things that people think of you, which I think is really
Aw.
important. Um, and let me make sure I got this right. Okay, I got it. Sorry. They're coming in like hotcakes. Okay.
Aw.
Yeah. Okay. So there's just some friends that have kind of put some. I asked them to describe you in a couple of words. Or just kind of. They didn't really
Ooh.
describe you. You just kind of said some things about you, which I think are awesome. She
That's
lifts
really
every room she walks into. She inspires all ages, young and old. She
sweet.
can find the beauty and good in just about anything, but it will also let you just kind of, what is it called? Just kind of let you vent if you need to. And she will pray with you in the meantime. That's the kind of person that you are to your friends. And I think
Wow.
that's so amazing that we live this life. We only get one shot to live this life here and now. And I think it's important that we know where we are, because I think that can help us push on, right? And so we hope that encourages you today. And I want to kind of wrap up our time today by having you maybe speak into someone. Maybe they're listening today for the first time, or just kind of they fumbled around and they found us. It's exciting. But those people who are working behind the scenes, and maybe they can see some encouragement. What would you say to them today?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much. That was so cool, super meaningful.
Yeah.
Was not expecting that at all. But yeah, just to anyone who's listening, watching right now, and you are just doing the work. You are going day after day, whether you're a teacher, whatever your role is. Just thank you for what you're doing. And I would say, as an encouragement, you never know what little moment could totally shift someone's day or their life, or what one word that you spoke into them could completely change the trajectory of their life, whether that's a smile or, just speaking life into somebody. And I just applaud you for, your role, whatever that may look like, in your job, in your sphere, in your ministry, whatever that is. And just keep doing what you're doing, and know that while you may not see the fruit of it today or tomorrow, that there is definitely fruit happening, and that we may not know on this side of eternity, but I feel like we will get to see it someday. And yeah, just keep on keeping on.
And they started clapping. I don't know.
So fun.
Rachel, thank you for your time. Hey, listen, check out, this is her, I believe, for Instagram at Creative Impact Podcast. Subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast. Go check out RachelLeeCaldwell.com. You can get the book. I highly recommend it. Also, the Creative Impact Podcast.com. There's just, she's global, everybody. But don't forget to get that book. Get this book. This book is awesome. I'm over halfway through. I'm loving it. I interpret dance, but I don't really dance, but it's for everybody. So go and grab your copy. You can find it anywhere online, especially her website. Rachel, it was an honor to have you. And maybe we can touch base soon again, and see how you're doing, and see how you're changing not just the world, but your community that you're in. You're very important to what's going on, and we thank you for being on the Unsung podcast.
Thank you so much, Blake. This has been so much fun. I appreciate you, and thanks for making this just such a great time. So congratulations on the podcast, and I'm so excited to see where it continues to grow.
Yeah,
It'll be
well, the
awesome.
horses are here. So as long as the horses show up in the background,
Yes.
I'm okay. I'm all right. They're
That's
my
all that
buddies.
matters.
That's all that matters. This is our very expensive backdrop, right? So,
I love
well, thanks
it.
again. Hey, we'll see you next time on the Unsung podcast.
Sounds great.
No longer dead to this place that
We want to thank beautiful contributors for allowing us to use their music for the Unsung podcast. You can support them by going to any platform, anywhere you listen to music, and purchasing and listen to their music. They also might have some vinyl or CD still available. You can reach out to them, but support beautiful contributors.